Can the superhero genre be saved after the catastrophes we've seen over the years? I think so, but first let's go over how the heck did we get here from Marvel releasing Endgame of $2 billion film back in 2019 to what Superman and Fantastic Four barely getting off 300 million to 500 million, not even having an attempt to going to break the $1 billion mark, which was kind of the standard that was set around 2019, 2018. So what has happened here? I think there's three things that has really hurt Marvel over the long run and superhero films in general. First, it's oversaturation. Second is decrease in quality. And third, it has to be the appeal of the genre. And we're going to go into each one of those and see how we can turn the ship around. So, the oversaturation. What happened here? Well, let's remember, after Endgame, Marvel started producing a lot more content. They put out a lot more movies, they put out a lot more Marvel TV shows, which in theory sounds great because what's better than cake? Well, let's have two cakes. Let's add some ice cream. Let's add some pudding. Unfortunately, you don't want to have all that at the same time because not everyone's going to consume it at the same rate. If you're not going to consume it all at the same rate and you see a film with a whole bunch of stuff that you aren't used to, well then you're just lost. That's what's happened when you had WandaVision, Loki, you had all these other TV shows that are affecting the films that us as just the film viewers have no idea what's going on. Now, as someone who enjoys superhero content, I was watching it, but it became not enjoyment, but homework that you had to watch in order just to understand what's going on with the film. And gonna be honest with you, a lot of it wasn't all that great. And that's where the decrease in quality comes in because you're overproducing. You didn't get the top of the top writers, the top of film producers, the top of the top showrunners. You got new people that were cheap that you just want to push your vision and push a message, which is what happened a lot of time. Look at She-Hulk. That was a lot of the she message in that show. Look at what happened in WandaVision. Not so much of the she message, but at the end of it, Wanda wasn't criticized for what she did. She was called a hero that people won't understand the suffering that you had to go through. Well, what about the whole town you captured and took control of? Like, what about your victims? You were a villain. None of these shows were really up to the standard of the quality that we recognized back in Phase 1 and Phase 2. It's lost its way, and DC, honestly, they never really had a good shot at really producing great shows. Yes, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel was okay, a lot of division there, but Batman v Superman, that was a trash film. I absolutely despise that. I never saw Wonder Woman, but from what I heard, it was pretty good. But Wonder Woman 2, that one wasn't all that great. So what happened here in the quality? You don't have people who actually care for the scripts. You don't have people who care for the characters about this universe, and that is where we saw the decrease. Now, what about the appeal? Honestly, people needed a break. Let's remember, this journey started all the way back in the mid 2000s, so we had over a decade of this journey getting to Endgame, which is why, in my personal opinion, Endgame blew up as big as it was, because Endgame, in all honesty, it's not as good as Infinity War. Infinity War, I think, is the better film, it's the better climax, whereas Endgame, it's okay for the wrap-up, but it's not as good as Infinity War. So, once we got to that point, people need a break. Let's look at Star Wars, for example. When those three films came out, people were hungry for more. They wanted more Star Wars, but George said, wait. It wasn't until the end of the 90s to the early 2000s that we didn't get the next trilogy, and that blew up sky high. And then there was another pause, and then we got another film trilogy in the 2010s, which honestly was very bad in my opinion, but the appeal was there because you let us be hungry for it. That's the issue with a lot of these Marvel and DC films, is that heroes have been here so long, we don't know a world without them. So Carl, do you want superhero films to turn into the Western? No, I don't want that to happen. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying give us some breathing room and let us hunger for it. Also, don't be so cookie cutter. Where is the horror superhero films? Where are the films that are noir, the mysteries? Where is your average Joe just walking around the street, catching thugs, and saving people like it was in the beginning? Because at this point, when you get just cosmic and magic, it gets a little bit hard to relate. Like, I'm a big fan of all that, but you gotta bring it down to the ground level, like Spider-Man. Your neighborhood Spider-Man. Where is our neighborhood hero? Where is the Punisher going after the gang members that are blowing up little mom and pop shops? Where is he teaching the bad guys their most vile lesson, that the law enforcement cannot teach. That is what I'm saying. So how do we get back? I think you have to put a pause, and I think it's important that you spend time looking at characters and realize that not every character deserves a TV show. Not every character deserves a movie. You gotta be strategic about what you're gonna be moving forward with, which I think at this point, just take a pause, Marvel, and bring in the X-Men. Let's start the X-Men storyline. You can have the Avengers, you can have the superheroes that we know from then come in and affect the Marvel storylines, but focus on the X-Men. You have that now. That's where I would say for Marvel. Okay, well, about for DC? DC, you have to go with the Trinity because that's the heart and soul of DC. You always have to have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. The Superman film was okay. It's a rocky start. It's more like the Hulk, in my opinion, this movie quality, than it is Iron Man. But we're starting off, so this is where we're going. Hopefully the next few films can lay the foundation for a great universe. We'll see if they can, but that's what you need to do. You need to start with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They're not quite following that line, so we'll see how they succeed, but that'll be my advice to DC, is go from that route. And the appeal, you have to make sure you're creating quality films. You have to make us want to come back. So you have to make us want to see Mr. Terrific. You have to make us want to see Supergirl. Otherwise, what are you even doing here? That's a lot to say that up your game, Marvel and DC. Otherwise, the superhero genre will fall to pieces. Now, whether Marvel and DC actually implement this or even will try to recognize that there's a problem, that's yet to be seen. But I'm hoping for the best in this situation. But I would like to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Leave your comments down below. What do you think are the best ways to save the superhero genre at this point? Do you agree with what I've said, or do you disagree? Leave a like, leave a dislike, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe. Y'all take care now. Bye.